Hello students, today we are going to learn about constructors. Now as we know, the class consists of the data and member function, and having data and member functions inside the class is what we call as data encapsulation. Now member functions are those functions which are defined either inside the class or outside the class. In case a member function is defined outside the class, then it is bound to the class by prefixing the function name with the scope resolution operator and the class name. Now today we are going to discuss a special member function called as constructor. Constructors are special functions in the sense that their name is same as the class name. Now there are certain things that are kept in the mind once we define the constructors. That is, the constructors are to be declared in the public section, and the constructors don't have the return type. Now constructors are used to initialize the data members of a object. This is called as object initialization. Initialization may entail, that is, may involve calling a function, allocating dynamic memory to the different members of the class in the constructor, setting the variables of a object to specific values. Now constructors can be overloaded. That is, there can be more than one constructor present inside a class with the same name, but they should differ in the type of arguments or number of arguments or order of the arguments. We have already discussed what is function overloading. Same concept is used here. If you have not watched that video, you need to watch that video, that is on function overloading, and you will understand what is meant by overloading of the constructors. Now we can have a constructor without the arguments. In that case, constructor is called as default constructor. That is the constructor without arguments. This constructor is called automatically whenever the objects of class are instantiated or created. That is, whenever we declare the objects of a class, the constructor is automatically called. That is this constructor, that is the default constructor. Otherwise, if you want to call a argument constructor, you have to call that explicitly. So default constructor is called implicitly. That is, it is called automatically whenever an object of the class is instantiated. Now constructor is the first member function that is executed whenever the object is created. Whether you are creating a object statically or dynamically, that is, whether you are instantiating an object with a class or you are creating the object with a new operator, in both the cases constructor is the first member function that is executed whenever the object is created. Now it is possible that we can have a class without a constructor. In that case, the C++ runtime system calls a constructor called dummy constructor. Now constructors can be also defined outside the class. In that case, we have to bind the constructor to the class by using a class name and a scope resolution operator, the way we did for member functions once we defined them outside the class. Now constructors do not have any return type. This I have already told. Constructors can have arguments. In that case, the constructors are called as parameterized constructors. So the constructors with arguments are called as parameterized constructors, and the constructors without arguments or is called a default constructor. We have only one such constructor in a class, that is the constructor without arguments. Now, parameterized constructors are to be explicitly called when the objects of the class are created. Okay, constructors cannot be virtual. This is the concept linked with inheritance. Once I teach you inheritance, that time I'll tell you what is meant by virtual constructors. But we cannot have virtual constructors, we have virtual destructors. So constructors cannot be virtual, and this concept is linked with inheritance. Now, dynamic initialization can be also done through constructors even after the construction. That is, we can dynamically initialize the object members at runtime by using the constructors. What is meant by that? We'll see that once I show you how to create a class with constructors in IDE. Now, constant objects. These are the objects called as read-only objects, and they can be only initialized through constructors. Okay, constant objects are those objects which do not modify their data members. In case we try to call a member functions which are trying to modify the data members of the object which is constant object, the compiler will report that. Constructors can be defined with the default arguments. We can have the constructors with default arguments. Now, constructors can be used for dynamic construction. By dynamic construction, we mean that we can allocate the memory to different members of the class by using constructors during runtime using a new operator. There is also an alternative method for calling a one argument constructor, and I will show you that also. Now, the arguments of the constructor can be of any data type except the object of its own type as a value parameter. However, the class's object can be passed as a reference parameter to the constructor. In such cases, the constructor is called as copy constructor. So, copy constructors are those constructors in which the object of a class is passed to the constructor as a reference parameter. Okay, so let us go into IDE and do some exercise on constructors. Let me create a class example. Let us have two data members in it, say int A and int B. Okay, now let us make these as public members. Okay, now I can create a constructor to write here class example. Since the constructor has a specialty, it has got a same name as the class. The name of the class is example, so I will have a constructor with name example. Constructor is simply a member function, so it can access all the data members, whether they are public, private or protected. Now, this constructor does not have arguments, so this constructor is called as a default constructor. Okay, suppose I specify a return type void in this constructor or int. You see first what does the compiler respond to this statement, that is to the return type. So there is an error. What is error? Constructors cannot have a return type specification. So you must remember that constructors should not have a return type specification. This I have already mentioned in the slide on constructors, but this is how we did it practically. Okay, now let me compile once again. So it's a success, there is no error. Now this is the one constructor. Suppose I create two argument constructor outside the class, or let me keep it one argument constructor, say int k. Now this function has been declared or defined outside the class, but it has the same name as class name. Let us first bind it to the class. You can say example, then 2 semicolons. Now let me compile. There is an error. It is not a member of the class. Why? Because you have to declare the prototype of this function within the class, that is within of this constructor. This is a rule. Whenever we declare a member function outside the class, we have to declare the prototype of that member function within the class, and we have to here declare the prototype within the public section, because the constructor should be defined in the public section, or it should belong to the public section of a class. Okay, now I have got a one argument constructor. Let me again compile it, and if you see that now we have a constructor with one argument defined outside the class. I can have another constructor, suppose example, with two arguments, suppose int h, int k. Okay, now I have got three constructors. One is the example normal no argument constructor. This is called as a default constructor. That's the first constructor. Second is the two argument constructor, and then I have got one more constructor, that is one argument constructor, which I have defined outside the class. So this class has three constructors, and again these three functions have the same name, that is example. So this is a example to show itself that we can overload the constructors. That is, we can have more than one constructors, but provided the number of arguments or their order of the arguments or the type of arguments is different. This is what we call as overloading of the constructors. Okay, now let us create an object of this class and see which constructor is called. Now example, I am creating this object in a main. Okay, so this is object is the local variable of the main. Okay, now let us see what happens. If you see, I am not calling any function, I have simply created an object O, and let us see what happens. Now since the in this statement that is being executed right now, which you are seeing highlighted, the object O is created for the example. Now if you see, the constructor is automatically called. Okay, I have not called it. And which constructor out of the three constructors has been called? It is the constructor without the arguments. So default constructor is automatically called whenever the objects of a class are instantiated, or whenever the objects of the class are created, or whenever the objects of a class are declared, or whenever the memory is allocated to the objects of a class. This is one and the same thing. In other words, whenever you create the instance of a class, the memory is allocated to the object, or this is simply same as declaring the variables of type example. Okay, and the same thing is called as class instantiation. So once I instantiated a class, a constructor without arguments was called automatically, and I have not written anything in its body right now. So once the constructor has been executed, we have returned. As many times I will create the object, as many times the constructor will be called. Suppose I create an object O1, I call the first object now as O1, and I create another object O2. You will see that the object, the constructor will be called two times. So this is the first time the constructor is called for object O1, and now the second time the constructor is called for object O2. Okay, Now suppose in the constructor, that is an example, I initialize the data members A to 10 and I initialize the data member B to 11. So this is what is meant by initialization of the object, that is initializing the data members of an object. Let me make these two different statements so that it will be clear. I am creating now two objects in two different statements. That means I am first instantiating object O1, then I am instantiating the object O2. Let us see what happened. First object O1 will be instantiated. Let me watch it so that you understand. This is a very important concept what I am going to explain right now. This is O1 object. It has got two members, and then I have got another object, that is this is the first object O1. It has got two members and B, and both of the members have a junk value. Now whenever the object is created, memory is allocated to all the data members of the object, and the object is actually a group of memory locations with the same prefix name, that is O1. Okay, now how many locations will be in the object, how many memory locations or variables will be created in the object depends on the number of data members of the object. Okay. Now once I create an object O1, you will see the constructor will be called, and if you see here now, the A is initialized to 10 and B is initialized to 11. Now if you see here carefully, the object O1, A is initialized to 10 and B is initialized to 11. In other words, when in the constructor I mention the name of A and B, whenever constructor is called first with O1 for O1, so at that time the data members that are referred in the constructor belong to the O1. Since we don't use a dot operator for the object with which a member function is called for specifying its data members, we simply use the member name directly, because the object is an implied argument to the member function with which it is called. Since at this time the example is called with O1, so A and B are the members of O1 because the constructor has been called with reference to O1. Now the constructor will be called with reference to O2. Let us watch its members, and you will see that O2's members will have junk values. See here, O1 has been initialized because in the first statement O1 was created, its data members have been allocated memory, the constructor has been called, that is the default constructor, and in the constructor's body I have initialized the members to 10 and 11. If you see O2, its A and B is yet uninitialized. Okay, now in this statement I am creating, that is in this statement I am creating an object O2. Since I am creating an object, there is a rule that the constructor will be automatically called. Okay, now this time the constructor is called with reference to O2. So if we are referring to A and B, it is the members of O2. So the object with which a member function is called, whether it is a constructor or any other member function, that object becomes the implied argument. That is, you can refer to the data members directly of that object without using the dot operator. Okay, now this time since the object O2 is created and this constructor is now called for O2, so A and B of O2 will be initialized to 10 and 11, and if you see in O2 now in the watch window, its members have been also initialized to 10 and 11. Okay, so this is called as initialization of the objects. Now the initialization of the object means giving different values to its data member, but initialization is not that much only. You can even allocate memory to the different what you call members of the object in the constructor, or you can call any function, or you can even implement any logic. You can write any logic, you can write any message or any statement within the constructor. It is not necessary that you will give it a specific meaning, but normally the constructors are used to initialize the data members. That is, we use it to give values to the different data members, initial values to the data members. Now, can the constructors be called afterwards? Now, since the first time the constructor has been called, let us try to see whether the constructor can be called afterwards or not. So I'll make a call to the constructor with o1 now only, dot example. Okay, now I am calling a default constructor with the object. This time I am calling the constructor explicitly. That is, here in the third statement within the main, I am not actually creating an object, I am calling a member function. This is also possible, you see the error here. Oh, now let us see how we can call a two argument constructor. In order to call a two argument constructor, we have to call this constructor explicitly. That is, it won't be called like a default constructor. So if you want to call the no argument constructor, we will have to call it explicitly. That is by supplying the arguments at the point of instantiation of a particular object. In the first case now, the default constructor will be called, and in the second case the two argument constructor will be called. Let us try to see the difference now. Now in this case, let us see which constructor is called. If you see, the constructor example has been called, but it does not have any argument, so this default constructor is called automatically. Now the members of the objects are initialized to the values. Now after this, in the second statement, you are calling the what you call two argument constructor. That is the constructor with the arguments. This is also called as a parameterized constructor. So the parameterized constructors are to be called explicitly. We have to call them explicitly. They will not be called automatically. Let us see what happens. Now this is the two argument constructor that has been called here. Okay, since I have not written the initialization statements, I can write those statements also, and later on we can see what will be their effect. Let me initialize this to different values. Suppose 89 equal to, sorry, it will be like this: a b equal to k and a equal to h. So whatever will be the value of the formal parameters h and k, that will be placed in the actual arguments at the point of call, that is here. In this case now they will be initialized to a and b will be initialized to 2 and 3. Okay, let us execute the call once again. There's the error. Let us see that. Oh, I have not placed the semicolon. Now I can make a call. You see here, in the first case, the default constructor has been called, and if you see, the O1 has been initialized to 10 and 11. Now in case of O2, I am calling a parameterized constructor which has got two arguments. Okay, now if you see here again, the arguments will be initialized, a and b will be initialized to values of h and k. That is the values of the formal arguments, and the value of the formal arguments depends on the values of the actual arguments, which are 2 and 3. If you see, after the return from the call, the O2's member are initialized to 2 and 3. Okay, so this is how we call a parameterized constructor explicitly, by making a function call at the point of the instantiation of the class by simply writing the object name and two braces. Okay, now I have got another constructor which has got a single argument. Okay, it can initialize only one member. Okay, so a is equal to k. This is again a special constructor. Let us now call this constructor also, that is example. Now I will create an object O3. Okay, I will give it the initial value call the constructor with one argument, so that has to be called explicitly, because again it is a parameterized constructor. So the class can have only one default constructor, that is the constructor without arguments, and it can have many parameterized constructor. Depends upon how the programmer will implement it. Normally the number of parameters will be either equal to the number of data members of a class, or it can be more, depends on how he applies. There is no restriction to the number of parameters of the constructor, that is, it has to be necessarily equal to the number of data members. It can be less than the number of data members, it can be more than the number of data members, or we can have a constructor without arguments. So students should not think that if we have got 10 data members, then the constructor should have the 10 what you call arguments or 10 formal parameters. That is not the case. It depends on how you want to implement a particular logic, or how you want to solve a particular problem. Okay, now in first case the default constructor is called because it is called automatically. In second case the parameterized constructor is called, and the values of two parameters supplied are 2 and 3, and first I have initialized a to value of h and b to value of k, that is 2 and 3. If you see the second object O2 has been initialized to value 2 and 3. Now in this case I am calling a single argument constructor. Okay, let us watch this object first. Now this object is O3. Okay, O3. Let us watch O3. If you see O3, it has got two junk values for a and b. Okay, let us see what happens after execution. Now in this case, if you see single argument constructor has been called, a constructor with a single parameter. Okay, now if you see I am setting value of a to k, so only a of the O3 will be initialized. If you see a has been initialized to 6, since the argument pass was 6, the second member b is uninitialized. This is how we call a single argument constructor. Now there is another way of calling a single argument constructor also. So this is how we call it. We can call it like this. This type of call is specific for single argument constructor. Actually I am writing O3 equal to 9, but if you see here practically this will be the call. Let us do the first two calls very fast because we have understood it. Now if you see here I am creating a class. I am instantiating an object O3 of class example, and I am calling a constructor actually, but the call does not look like calling a function. It looks like assignment statement. This type of the what you call constructors have got specific applications in data conversions. We'll see that later. Let us try to see. So this is a call to the single argument constructor again. So there are two ways of calling a single argument constructor. One is like this, and second I'll put in comments, but you should note the both, that you can create an object, suppose O4, and give the argument like this, or you can make a call as I have shown. So these are the two different ways of calling a single argument constructor. This method is restricted to the single argument constructor. As I told you, the constructors can be also used for dynamic initialization. What is meant by that? Let us see that also. Now suppose this class has got a public members only. So if I create an object O4 of this class, if you see, I create an object O4 of this class. I initialize its members at the point of declaration also only. Let us see if this works out. So the objects cannot be initialized at the point of declaration. Okay, so it is not possible to initialize the objects at the point of declaration. Okay, so how do you initialize the objects? We initialize the objects by using the constructors, because this method does not work. Okay, now how do you initialize with the constructors? You can normally, as I have shown, instantiate an object, and either you use a default argument constructor. In that case you don't make a call, that will be called automatically, or you can make a explicit call to the parameterized constructor, whether it is a single argument or two argument, depending on the number of arguments, and you are going to supply that many arguments. But for the single argument constructor, there are two ways of calling. That is, call by giving the short braces and the value of the actual parameters, or you can make a call to it by using a equal to statement also. This is a special type of facility available for single argument constructor. Now we cannot initialize the objects at the point of declaration. What will happen? The compiler generates an error. Okay, so how do we initialize the objects, what you call, by using constructors later on? Okay, this is how we initialize the objects later on by using a constructor. Suppose I create a object O4. Now for this object O4, a default constructor will be automatically called. But suppose later on I want to initialize it using a constructor. How to do it? You mention the object's name O4 and call the constructor without an object, say example, and give the arguments 5 and 6. Let us see what happens in this case. Okay, now first I'll make this. You have already understood this, how to initialize the O1, then how to initialize the O2. Okay, this is to initialize to 2 and 3. Now how to initialize the O3 using a single argument. Only A has been initialized to value 9. Now in this case I am instantiating an object of an example. Since I am not giving the parameters within short braces, so default constructor will be called, and the members will be initialized to 10 and 11 for O4. Let us see if the members have been initialized. If you see O4, for O4 the members have been initialized to 10 and 11. Now suppose at runtime later on I want to change the value of the members of the O4. How I can change the value of the members, or how I can initialize the value of the members? Again I am calling a constructor, but I am not giving an object name. This is how we use the constructors for dynamic initialization of the objects. So now I am calling a constructor. I am giving two values 5 and 6 to the constructor. I have not created an object. Okay, this is what we call as creating the nameless objects actually, and that nameless object will be assigned to O4. If you see here, now observe the values of A and B of the O4. They are 10 and 11 before this. Now a two argument constructor has been called, that is the parameterized constructor, since I have given two parameters, and the value of A and B and have been initialized to value of H and K, which were of course supplied as 5 and 6. If you see, the value of A and B members of O4 have changed. I can do it as many times as I want. Suppose I want to again later on, after executing set of statements or doing some manipulations on O4, I can say O4 equal to example 3, 788. Okay, now I am giving different values to its data members. Let me put these calls in the comments because we have already understood them. Okay, O4, I have commented O4 also, so I have to uncomment this statement. Now I have to. Now let me show you how this will work. Okay, first I am making call to O4. The two numbers have been initialized to 10 and 11. If you see in the watch window, 10 and 11. Now I am again calling the constructor and I am initializing it to 5 and 6. Later on I am again calling the constructor and initializing to 3 and 788. This is what we call as dynamic construction. That is, we can initialize the members of the object at runtime. Normally we cannot initialize the members of the object at the point of declaration. Okay, but later on we can initialize as many times as you want by using the constructors. Okay, now let us have another member int star of P inside a constructor. Now I have got another member pointer p inside a constructor, and I can allocate memory to it. How? I can say p equal to new int. Okay, now let me compile. This is a success. So here what I am doing, I am allocating the memory to pointer p. If you don't understand it right now, because I have not shown how we do create a dynamic objects, or how we create a memory allocate a memory dynamically using a new, no need to worry. I am simply showing you that we can allocate memory and store that address in a pointer, and later on we can access that memory. I have already told that within the constructors we can give different initial values to the objects, data members, or even we can allocate memory to the different data members. Allocating different memory to the different data members within the constructors is what we call as dynamic construction, and initializing the data members at the runtime whenever we want we want to initialize them is called as dynamic initialization. Okay, now we have to explain one more constructor, that is a copy constructor. Okay, let us create a constructor first inside the example. Okay, again a constructor example. Let me first create a constructor with object O as its what you call formal parameter. As I told, this is not allowed. The object of a class can passed as a value parameter. Since I am passing here by value, so this won't be allowed. Let me first compile it and let us see if this is allowed or not. There is an error. The constructor example is not allowed. Okay, so the object of a constructor cannot be passed to the constructor as a value parameter. If I pass the object as a reference parameter, that is allowed. But for any other member functions, this is not a problem. Suppose I have got a member function x. Okay, because you might feel that this rule applies to every member function. Since I have already shown you how we pass object to the member functions, we can even pass objects of type example to the x as value parameter. Okay, there is no problem. But with a constructor, if you pass it as a value parameter, there will be problem. You can pass it as a reference parameter. Let us try to pass it by address. So we receive it in a pointer. Okay, of type example. Let us see if this is possible. This is possible. So you can pass the object to the constructor as the reference parameter, or as a what you call, or by address, but you cannot pass the object to the constructor by value. Okay, for any other member function, this restriction does not apply, that you can pass the object to a member function either by value, either by reference, or by address. But to the constructor, you have to specifically pass the object as a reference parameter, or the objects by address. This is important. And such constructors which have received the objects of their own type as reference parameters are called as copy constructors. This is so far as copy constructors are concerned, and their definition is concerned. Once we go to it, I'll have a separate video on that, what is the application of copy constructors. Okay, now let us go back to the slides and see how much we have covered. We have seen this constructor is a member function that has the same name as a class. We have seen constructors are declared in the public section. We have seen constructors are used to initialize the data members of the object, and that is object initialization. Initialization may entail calling a function, allocating dynamic memory, setting variables to a specific values, or even you can call functions other functions within the constructors. Okay, constructors can be overloaded, that is we can have more than one constructor. Thus we have also seen no argument constructor, that is the default constructor is called automatically whenever the objects of the class are instantiated. We have seen this constructor is called automatically and is called as a default constructor, that is the constructor without arguments. Now constructor is the first member function that is executed whenever object is created. You have seen whenever we instantiated an object, a default constructor was automatically called, or the argument constructor was called, or parameterized constructor was called, by explicitly specifying the call and passing the actual arguments. It is possible to define a class with no constructor. Yes, we can have a class with a no constructors. Let us see that also, and we have already seen that in the previous exams actually. So there is no hard and fast rule that what we call class should have a constructor. I can have a class, okay, say J, and now J has got one member, say int H. Okay, now J does not have any constructor. Let us compile and see whether that is allowed. Okay, that's allowed, so no problem, we can have a class without constructors. Okay, so it is possible to define a class with no constructor. Constructor can be defined outside the class, we have seen that also. Now constructors don't have a return type. We have seen that if we write a return type, the compiler reports an error. Constructors can have arguments. We have seen parameterized constructors. Parameterized constructors are to be explicitly called when object of the class is created. Yes, we have seen that also. They won't be called automatically, we have to call them explicitly. Default constructors will be called implicitly without calling them. Constructors cannot be virtual. I have told you this is some concept related to what you call inheritance, what are the virtual functions. So but you should remember that constructors cannot be virtual. Now dynamic initialization can be done through constructors even after the construction of the objects. We have seen that also. Okay, now we have got constant objects. Okay, I have not shown you this one. Can be initialized only through constructors. Okay, we can have constructors with default arguments. This we have also not seen. Now constructors can be used for dynamic construction. We have seen this, that is we can use the constructors to dynamically allocate memory to the different members of the class. Now there is an alternative method for calling a one argument constructor. We have seen that, and by using the assignment operator, the argument of the constructor can be any data type except as an object of its own class, that we have seen as a value parameter. We cannot have an object of its own class as a value parameter to the constructor, but it can be passed as a reference parameter, or it can be passed by address. This restriction only applies to the constructor. That is, only the constructor is a special member function. We cannot accept the value object as a value parameter, but for other member functions this restriction does not apply. However, the classes object can be passed as a reference parameter. Once you pass the classes object as a reference parameter to the constructor, we call such constructor as a copy constructor. So we have not done two things, that is we have not done constant objects and we have not done constructors with the default arguments. Let us do both of these. And now let me first write a function here, okay, within the class that modifies the data member but is not a constructor. Okay, I have a function h inside the class that modifies what you call a equal to 0 and b equal to 9. Okay, now this is a member function which modifies a and b, but is not a constructor because its name is not same as that of a class. Okay, now let us create a constant object. How we create a constant object? We say, let me commit these statements. Constant object, we say constant keyword, then we give a class name. Okay, okay, then we create an object O7. Okay, now let me call the member function with O7, that is at O7 dot h. Let me compile. If you see, there will be a warning. And let me write a return type here first. See here. Now since I'm creating an object O7 and that's a constant object, and with O7 I am calling a non-member function h which I created just now, and that h is modifying the two data members a and b. The compiler has reported an error. What is the error? Non-constant function example is called for a constant object. Okay, so with the constant what you call object, you cannot call a function that modifies the data members. Okay, so this is the function h, which is modifying the data members a and b. The compiler has issued a warning that a non-constant function h is called for a constant object. Since I have declared O as constant O7 as a constant object. Constant objects are those objects which are called as a read-only objects. That is, they do not change the data members of the what you call their data members except by using the constructors. So how do we initialize the members of this object, constant object? We call a constructor. Okay, we can call a constructor with two arguments 7 and 8, and once we call, you see 2 argument constructor is called and the members have been initialized accordingly. Okay, so this is what is meant by constant objects. Constant objects are those objects which are read-only objects, and they can be only initialized to the constructors, because if we call the other non-member function member functions which are changing the data members, the compiler will issue the statements that it cannot be done, it should not be done, that is, their data members should not be changed. Okay, now let us learn one more thing, that is, we can have constructors with default arguments. Let us see how we do that. If we let us put one more member in this. Now it has got 4 members. Okay, now let me create a constructor which initializes these 4 members. Okay, example s comma int k comma int l comma int pa int o. Okay, now initialize the members of the class. Say a is equal to s, say b is equal to k, say c equal to l, and say d equal to o. Let me first normally call this function. First create an object, example u. I'm creating an object u. I'm specifying the values of 4 members. Okay, now if you see here, now this constructor is called, which has got 4 arguments, and the 4 members will be initialized accordingly. Let us watch the values of these members. This is now o, sorry, u. If you see, after the call is executed, the members of u have been initialized to since the second member is a pointer, don't worry about that, the members have been initialized to 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, now what if I pass only 3 arguments? What I can do, I can give a default value to the 4th argument, suppose o. That is in the formal parameters only. I give its value as 89. Let us see what happens. Now the call to u is made again. Different members have been initialized, but I have only passed 3 arguments. But the constructor has how many arguments? 4 arguments, and I have given one of the values, default values, to the one of the arguments, that is to the o. Now this is called constructor with the default argument, that is argument values. Now, if you see after the return from a call, the member that is which I have now not passed, values I have passed 2, 3 and 4. Since S I am initializing to A, so A has been set to 2. Now next member is a pointer, I am not initializing that. The third member that is B is initialized to 3, and fourth member C is initialized to L, that is 4. But since I have not passed the fourth argument, that is the value of D, but I have set the value of O to 89 as a default value, that value will be initialized to D. This is called what we call as constructors with the default arguments. Okay, that is, if you pass lesser number of the arguments than the required number of the formal parameters, and if you have already given some default values to the formal parameters, those values will be used for the initialization. Okay, so this is what I meant by this. And since if you see here, you might have one more confusion. The first member is the A, second member is the pointer P, third member is the B, fourth member is the C, and the fifth member is a D. But I am passing 4 values and I am initializing them to the data members, that is A, B, C and D. P I am leaving uninitialized. That is why in the watch window it is showing the second member, that is P, this value. Okay, so don't be confused with this. So I am initializing only A, B, C and D. This is what is meant by constructors with the default arguments. This was all about the constructors. In the next lecture we will learn about what are the destructors. They are again special functions with the same name as a class, but preceded with the title character, and they are called at the point of destruction of the objects, that is when the memory is deallocated from the objects. So we have constructors as a special member functions which are called when the memory is allocated to the object. I hope you have liked today's video. Thank you.